So let's just go through an idea. Moshe Rabbeinu has a very interesting discussion with his father-in-law. And his father-in-law tells him, it's not right. Why are you sitting here all day? The Yehudim are waiting for you from the Boker ad Erev. You're going to become, dried out. And what he told them at Chazeh, you should go see people that are fit for the job, and they will put sarei alafim sarei meot, and they will be able to help you. And at the Davar Kasher yaviu elecha. So a few things. Number one, what happened over here? Moshe Rabbeinu needed advice about delegation. He needed management advice. They say a guest for a while is sees from a mile. So, is that what happened over here? Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have this idea, and Yitro was able to come up with this idea. Also, very interesting thing is that we call him Yitro, and the reason is Chazal tell us Yiter parasha achad b'Torah, that we had an extra parasha. There's a lot of people that we say about them that this piece of the Torah was supposed to be given regardless, and it was given and it was named after them. It was given a credit to them, but we never used the lashon Yiter. There was an extra, for example, by Bnot Tzlofchat, by Pinchas, by all these things. We say this nikrat parasha al shma zachar megalgalin zchut al yedei zakai. We don't use the term Yiter parasha achad. So all this seems to say that Moshe Rabbeinu had a thought process that was complete and that was whole, that did not need to be interrupted. But Yitro came up with a different thought process, and it was 100% extra. It wasn't 100. It wasn't that it was lacking if it wouldn't be for it, and that is why we use the lashon Yiter, and it's extra, and that's also the reason why we use. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu didn't come up with it, because he had his own thought process, and it was a correct thought process. So let's go through what happened. Another time that we had this similar idea was regarding Seret HaDibrot, whether Moshe is going to tell the Seret HaDibrot to Am Yisrael, or that they're going to hear it directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And what happened? They told him in middle, Kol Hashem Elokeinu Od, we cannot hear, At Tadaber Aleinu, you should tell us. So also over here, Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't know his people, he doesn't know what's going on. So the idea is like this, that Moshe Rabbeinu knew, he knew that the best and the most effective ways that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, to hear everything direct from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore he wanted them to hear that Seret HaDibrot. And more so he wanted them to hear the Torah directly from him, because he was the one that heard it from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And it's written regarding Moshe that it's as if you see it with his vision eyes, mind eyes. So obviously it would have a bigger impact if they were able to hear the Torah directly from him in his arena, and with his mind eyes, it would have a better impact. And he knew that they were capable of doing that. But there was, like also we find that whatever Moshe Rabbeinu says is Shechina medaberet b'toch Torah, so it was a more direct way to get the Torah. And like you find regarding Melech HaMashiach, he's going to teach the Torah to the entire nation, to the Avot, to the tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of Yehudim, everyone together. How is he going to do that? Because he's going to impart upon them the vision with their mind eyes, and then to see a spectacle everybody could see at the same time. And that's how they're going to learn Torah, and that's what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted. Now, what happened with Yitro? Yitro was a ger. And a ger is a person that sees the Yehudi not as they are in the presence of Moshe Rabbeinu. He sees the Yehudi as they are in their day-to-day, in their business as they are at their default scenario. And he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, this Yehudi that you're telling, yes, you could impart upon them, you have the capacity to give them the entire Torah as it is, but that doesn't mean that but where they are in their setting, in their own life, they are not there where you are at. You could elevate them, but you cannot. But that doesn't mean that they are fully own that status that you want them to be there. That is also what happened regarding the Seret HaDibrot. He knew that they're able to hear directly, but they they wanted to grasp it with their own faculties, and this is something that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't appreciate, to the sense that he didn't think that was the right proper way, because they wanted to water, because it would be watering down the Torah that they were able to get on their own, if they wouldn't get it directly from him. But because they asked, therefore Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Yitashtem et kochi at the Delegating." Moshe Rabbeinu says, "I'm weakened." What is the idea of weakened? Because he recognized, he responded to their ask that they wanted a weakened version of the learning of the teaching of the Torah. Now, so the thought process that it's going to be that he needed to give it to them in a lower version, because that's what's going to happen post he passes away. So first of all, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't think that he's going to be passing away, because it wasn't the chet that he was punished for not going into Eretz Yisrael. So he thought that he's going to go into Eretz Yisrael, and he was able to maintain it. Second, even if he wouldn't know, that wasn't the thing that he had to change his hanagah, just because post his passing there would be a problem. So now, in the end of the day, it's they because in their lowly state of business affairs, they weren't really going to be able to shed off their own mundaneness, and they weren't able to fully. They didn't feel that they were able to fully grasp what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted, so they wanted in a lower degree of intensity, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu had to give it to them in that lower degree, and therefore he actually says "V'ata techazeh." Techazeh is the Aramaic translation, so that means that he couldn't give it to them in his mind, eyes, and his vision that he saw the Torah. He had to give it to them in translated version, in a lot lower volume, a lot lower degree. What is the teaching for us from this? Is that seemingly it was a yerida. Seemingly there was no benefit, because it's just you lower it's just less. There's less of the Torah. There's less of the learning. There's less of everything. As we find regarding we find in the previous Rebbe's work, and in general we find that the more the Jew finds themselves in a lower place, the more the Jew needs to fight with more mundane and more engaging in order to accomplish seemingly less, that because he has to put more effort out, and because it's a more mundane, that in itself is the indicator that he's given, that it's rooted in a higher place, meaning is the Torah and the mitzvot that he's actually doing is rooted in a deeper place, as it says regarding nation that going out to war, that the king is going to give his treasures that he's never opened in beforehand, and he's going to give it that he doesn't even look for himself, but to win this war he's going to give it to the most simple foot soldiers. So even though he gives it to the generals, it's not for the generals that do appreciate, he's just giving it to the foot soldiers so they could actually implement the win. So too is the Yehudi, that even though seemingly he's a foot soldier and even he doesn't understand, even though he's fighting a very big battle of the group and the nefesh of the Amit, and there doesn't seem to be a benefit in it on its own right, but because it's so integral and it's so critical, something that the king himself doesn't take out for his own leisure. It's something that belongs to the treasure of his forefathers, that it's beyond anything. He's willing to use it in a way of generous spending, an overspend, just for to be ensuring a win. So to the Yehudi, even though they find themselves in a lower point in time where you cannot even accept the Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu, nevertheless, this hopefully is able to bring out the ultimate end goal of Mashiach.